From the reimagined David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium press box, Dan Lucero and Brendan Dzwierzynski with you for an instant reaction on our 580 Sports Talk YouTube channel and our Facebook page, WIBW News. KU is 1-0, a 31-7 triumph over the Fresno State Bulldogs tonight. Brendan, KU didn't really have to break much of a sweat in this game. They controlled it from start to finish.
Yeah, and I think really having a great, and not just good, a great offensive drive from the very beginning is what set the tone here. Came out, we're using misdirection. We're getting Jalen Daniels going through the air, on the ground, using his legs. He took a couple of hits. It was great to see that he was able to pop right back up. He was looking good. No worries about the back or anything there. That really set the tone. And it's been obviously such a huge storyline all offseason leading into this, right? The switch again at offensive coordinator. The Jeff Grimes experiment doesn't work last year. Now it's Jim Zebrowski and Matt Lubick who are running the show. And I thought they both called. So much of the design comes from Lubick, the play calling from Zebrowski. I thought they both did a phenomenal job in this game. That set the tone. And then throughout the first half, I think the offense was absolutely fantastic. I want to make sure we mention the defense here right off the rip, because after giving up a few explosives on the opening drive for Fresno State, they didn't give up anything the entire rest of the game. 4 punts, 3 turnovers, a turnover on downs, and a missed field goal. That's how the game ended for the KU defense. They were fantastic. And like you said, pretty much for 60 full minutes, this was domination.
Yeah, there was a lot to like for Kansas. And let's start with JD 6, 18 of 20 through the air for 176 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 of those to the Ball State transfer Cam Pickett, the other to Keaton Kubeka, his first collegiate touchdown for the Jayhawks. Also rushed the ball 8 times for 47 yards. He looked spry. He looked unafraid of contact, willing to take some contact. And he did. He took some big hits. In the third quarter, he had one drive where he took 3 big wallops all in a row, but withstood it, popped up, kept going, and looked good, looked as sharp as I can recall seeing him. Is a big difference from where he started last season, and it's a really exciting prospect to think that he might be a little closer to the 2022 version of himself.
When you go back and you think of the best games from his career, you think of games that are almost hyper efficient. Like, you think of him as such an explosive, big play, flashy guy, but he's a good decision maker. He's a smart, efficient player. And that's what we got today. Anytime your starting quarterback throws more touchdown passes than they do incompletions, you probably had a pretty good game. He was on target. He worked every single part of the field. They were using the check down smartly, little screen passes. When they needed to push the ball down the field, they were able to. Excellent in the red zone as well. You're right. I mean, you look back to first five games in one quarter, essentially, of 2022 before the shoulder injury. 2023, those first few games, I mean, the game here in Lawrence against Illinois, I mean, that was a clinic, or against Nevada too that year before the back injury set in. He was absolutely fantastic. That's what it looked like here. After last season, he never looked quite right. The decision-making was off. He was just a tick slow on everything. He looked as crisp as he's looked in years in this game today. Just incredibly fired up for him. There was a great story about him and his, how he got to this point at KU from Bruce Feldman at The Athletic this week. And just how do you read that and not get happy for a guy like this? And to come out and perform like this in the first game here at this new stadium, just absolutely thrilled for JD.
In the backfield, no Devin Neal, but Daniel Highshaw and LaShawn Williams both played well. Highshaw, 69 yards on 13 carries. Nice game for him. LaShawn Williams, 57 yards on his 6 carries, including a 19-yard touchdown run on a 4th down and 1. Both of those guys showed some juice, and I think that's going to be a very effective job share in the backfield.
We saw a number 4 running back for KU score a touchdown today. If that doesn't get the feeling back, if that doesn't bring the good vibes back, I'm not sure what will. No, Williams looked awesome. I was actually talking to someone just online during the game, a friend of mine who's an Iowa fan, and he said, hey, man, we really wish we could have kept LaShawn in Iowa. We have too many running backs. Iowa's third best running back is number 1 in most running back rooms in the country. So you're doing pretty well with a guy like that. And Highshaw, again, we think of him as a guy who's going to run right through your face every single time he touches the ball. He's got some finesse in his game. He's got those light feet. He was fantastic in this one. The fact that it was a bunch of different guys factoring in, 2 different running backs plus a couple of the young guys late in the game who got some carries, 10 different receivers caught a pass in this game. Nobody had more than 6 catches. That was Pickett. Next highest, just 3. 7 of those guys had just 1 catch, but spreading it around evenly, getting a bunch of different dudes involved and a bunch of different concepts. Again, I just can't say enough about the game plan that Jim Zebrowski and Matt Lubick brought into this game. It was a masterpiece.
Really good stuff from the offense throughout, 31 points in the winning effort, but we got to give a call to the defense. shaky opening series, missed some tackles, had a chance to get off the field on 3rd down and long right away, couldn't do it. And Fresno State ends up driving down the field, tying the game at 7. And that ends up being all they get because KU sharpened the tackling issues. They end up forcing 2 or 3 turnovers, rather. Devin Dye, Lyric Rawls with interceptions, and Bengali Kamara had a strip sack that was recovered by Keenan Caldwell. A bunch of guys played really well. A bunch of guys who we're seeing for the first time out there, whether it was Kamara, who plays super fast. He shot out of a cannon from his linebacker spot. Trey Lathan, I thought, was very impressive there as well. Lyric Rawls, I mentioned, had the interception, made some good plays. Keenan Caldwell had a really good game, rotational defensive tackle, showing some depth on the defensive line. That was a kind of a question this year, especially with Dean Miller not playing in this opener for KU, but they show that they've got some quality depth up front. They've got some more speed in the linebacking core and in the defensive back group, and it was a really impressive performance after that opening drive. They tightened up what they needed to tighten up, and they kept the Bulldogs off the board the rest of the way.
Yeah, you went through most of the names right there. The 2 guys I wanted to shout out in particular, Keenan Caldwell was awesome. He was fantastic. He had a stretch in the first half. I mean, he was getting through the line on damn near every play. He was in the backfield constantly. He was wrapping up. At the start of the game, when we were getting a little bit worried about this team's ability to tackle with some of those misses on the first drive, he was fantastic. Gap shooter, defensive tackle, has a quick first step. He was fantastic. And man, Bengali Kamara, we knew he was a great athlete. Started his career at Pitt, transferred to South Carolina, so he's got to be a great athlete to play in the SEC. He comes here, huge coup for Lance Leipold and staff in the transfer portal this year. And he showed off that speed and that explosion immediately. He was everywhere. It is hard to find sideline to sideline linebackers really anywhere outside of the SEC or Michigan, and KU's got one here in Bengali Kamara. He was fantastic.
Really nice showing again for that defense. You take out the sacks, and it was still less than 2.5 yards per carry for what is a pretty good Fresno State run game. They controlled the line of scrimmage, and again, after that first drive, really cleaned up the tackling mistakes. Were much better tackling. They were sticky in coverage. It was a really, really impressive top-to-bottom defensive performance for Kansas, and just every bit as impressive as what JD6 and company were able to do on the offensive side. That's obviously the biggest part of the story here and the part that means the most for the future of this 2025 season, but it was also the first game back in Lawrence, the first game back at the new booth, our first time laying eyes on what this all looked like inside. And boy, couldn't have been any more impressed with A, how it looks, but also B, the crowd. Great crowd. The stripe out looked great on TV. You could not ask for a better showcase for the first portion of the rebuild of this stadium and for the start of the 2025 season. Could not have started better.
I don't want to go full Pollyanna here talking about this, but right now I am looking from the press box to the portion of the stadium, the eastern side that hasn't even been updated. But even connected to all the new stuff, it doesn't look that bad, does it?
No.
I know they're going to make a big move there, obviously, but they blended it in really well. The architects, the incredible team that put this all together. No, this stadium is beautiful. And you told me, actually, because you got to go through the media walkthrough a couple weeks ago, you said, hey, the light effects, we were a little iffy on what that was going to actually look like when it was put into practice after we saw the renderings. It looks incredible. It looks absolutely fantastic. I posted this on social media right as the game was starting. Everything you've heard about how cool this stadium is, how modern, how updated, how beautiful it is, it's all true. It really is. And it was cool to be here for this first one. Beautiful new press box here at the new booth. Just saw a story here on the TV about business coming back to Lawrence. That means a lot to this community. So this, again, not to go over the top here, but this could not have been a more successful opening week for this team and this stadium here this weekend.
Jayhawks 31, Bulldogs 7. KU hosts Wagner next Friday night, an FCS opponent in the second home game of 2025.
You know where Wagner is?
Wagner's in the Northeast.
Staten Island.
That's right. Yeah, New York. Yeah, that's they're the Seahawks.
Yes. That is correct.
The Seahawks are coming to town. We'll have much more to say about this game. Also, K-State's season opening loss in Ireland to Iowa State, the final Chiefs preseason game, the Royals weekend against the Tigers, and more. What will be a jam-packed Monday edition of 580 Sports Talk. You can catch that 3 to 6 on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, 580WIBW.com, or these same video channels, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube, WIBW News on Facebook. That's going to do it for us. For Brendan Dzwierzynski, I'm Dan Lucero. This has been Instant Reaction as the Jayhawks reopened the reimagined David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium with a 31-7 victory over the Fresno State Bulldogs. Good night from the booth.